is everyone doing? I hope everyone is doing well. Happy Friday and welcome to Embroidery Happy Hour. I am feeling a whole lot better. Thank you guys so much for being patient with me last Friday. I had the flu and I'm still getting a little bit over it, a little bit, but I do have my tea ready. So I think I'm going to be okay today. So, guys, I want to talk this week about the topic of things that affect embroidery cost and prices. Okay. As you guys are probably well aware, unless you've been living under a bubble, everyone's talking about the prices going up. Everything's going up. Cost of living, the items that we're buying, everything is getting like so super expensive, right? So, one of the things that I usually get a lot of questions about is people always talk about how do you price embroidery, right? What are the things that you need to consider when you're pricing embroidery, when you're creating things to sell, or if someone, you're not really in the business of selling, but someone approaches you and says, hey, I would like to pay you to make something. So you really want to be able to know exactly what are the things that you have to consider when you're doing your embroidery pricing. And you also want to think about certain things that affect the cost of embroidery. Okay. So as always, I have my notes and things that I thought about and I wanted to share with you guys because I figured this is something that would be pretty helpful, something that you guys can think about when you are thinking about all the costs that are involved. Sorry. And also some of the things that you need to consider when you're pricing your embroidery. Okay. A lot of times people don't get this right. It may even take you some time to get it right. And the thing is, sometimes what you price your item at a certain cost that may not work for someone else that is somewhere else in the US or around the world, because you really have to consider the cost of living of where you are. So just know that I'm not going to be spitting out saying, hey, when you do something like this you should be charging $20. When you do something like that you should be $15. It really depends on a lot of factors. Okay, not everyone's cost is the same. Okay, like some guys may have a brick and mortar and then they have to pay rent or a mortgage or something like that. Some people may have higher prices when they're ordering their threads. Other people may get a cheaper price ordering their thread because sometimes they buy their threads from bulk. So a lot of these things are going to really depend on your own personal situation. But I do want to come out and talk to you guys, hey Mello, about some of the things that you really should be considering when you are, looking at the cost of your embroidery, and also when you're trying to calculate the pricing by my Mello on how much your embroidery is going to cost. You want to say hi? Is that what it is? Okay, but you need to come here because the camera can't see you. There you go. All right, you made your cameo. You're such a good boy. I know. All right, so Mello made his cameo. So let's get down to business and let's talk about some of the things that I thought about. Okay, the first thing I thought about was the type of embroidery that you're going to do. It could be a patch, it could be embroidery on a jacket, it can be embroidery on a sweatshirt, and all that stuff. So you want to think about what type of an embroidery it is, because depending on what it is, it's really going to determine how much thread and how much time you're going to be utilizing in order to design that type of embroidery. Okay, so that's the first thing that I thought about. The second thing is the design complexity and also the size. Sometimes people will say, hey, this is a logo, this is what I want to do, but then they forget to tell you that they want it on a big jacket, or the back of a jacket, or the back of a hoodie or something like that, right? Size matters, guys. It really does. The bigger the embroidery, the more thread it's going to take to make it happen, and also the more time that item is going to be underneath the needle. A lot of times people forget about the size. That is like so super important. Okay, so and then let's go to the first thing that I mentioned, the design complexity. Some things can be very simple to embroider, and some other things can be very, very difficult depending on the design of the logo or the embroidery that the customer wants. Sometimes it can be something as simple as just wording, that can be in like block fonts or something like that. But then you can have items that are extremely complex. And when they're complex, they have different color threads. They have a lot of details in the design where you have to run the machine at different speeds, at different areas of the embroidery design. You may have to use different types of needle sizes or different types of thread types in the embroidery design. So you have to think about all of that, okay? Not all embroidery is the same. That is one of the things that a lot of people sometimes they get that wrong. They end up saying, I'm going to do a standard pricing across the board. Huge mistake. Can't do that because you may have some designs that are simple that won't be take long to stitch out, and you don't have to change the speed of your machine or anything like that. Those, but and those can be priced in a certain number. However, though, if you get another one that's pretty complex, that has a bunch of designs and all the other stuff that I mentioned below, you're not going to be able to price that at the same time. If I mean the same way that you price the simple one. If you do that, guess what? You are going to lose money. You are going to end up giving your services away. All right. So, one of the things that you really want to make sure is that you know exactly when you're looking at a design, the type of complexity that is involved in it. You don't want to take something that is really complex and give a low price because you're cheating yourself on that. Okay. So, that is something that, a lot of people get wrong. They don't really take the time to study the design and work with a digitizer to really try to figure out how long a certain design is going to take to stitch out. Hold on. How many color changes are involved, and even the size. Okay, not all, it's not a one size fits all dress, guys. Okay, so if even if it's the same design, if they wanted a logo that's going to be 3 inches by 3 inches, that's one thing. But if they want that logo to be in the back of a jacket, and they want that to be 9 by 9 or something like that, that's something else. That takes a lot longer to stitch out, and it's just not gonna, you can't give them the same price as before. Customers may not understand that, but you're just gonna have to explain it to them. Okay. The other thing is the material and the apparel type. Certain materials are easy to work with, some materials are not. Some materials require special stabilizer. Sometimes they require you to slow down the machine. Sometimes it's not even something that I would probably ever recommend touching. All right. Because the risk can be kind of high. So you got to really think about the type of fabric that you are working with. A lot of times people will just come out and say, sure, just bring it and I'll embroider it. And then when they bring the item, you end up finding out that you're embroidering on satin, you're embroidering on silk, you're embroidering on denim, or some other material that requires some type of special stabilizer and stuff. That can be pretty daunting, and at the same time, you really got to take that stuff in consideration. All right. Sometimes you may end up having some type of fabric you really don't feel comfortable embroidering on, and if that's the case, I wouldn't take the order. Okay, unless you perfect that embroidering on that particular type of fabric or material. That is not something that I would even touch. Some people don't like embroidering on leather. Some people don't like embroidering on vinyl because those items can be very unforgiving. Once you pop a hole in that material, that hole is there to stay. If you make a mistake and you undo that embroidery, you're gonna see the holes on those type of fabrics because it's not like cotton fabric where it can kind of heal itself. Once you make that hole, it's a permanent hole. It is there. Okay. So think about that. Okay. The other thing that I mentioned, number 4, okay, is the order volume is if you want to offer bulk discounts. Volume is very important, okay? Because if someone comes to you and says, hey, I just need one item to be embroidered, usually what you're doing is you're setting up the machine just for that one particular item. If you have a bulk order, depending on how many machines you have, you got to set up all the machines for that. And then it's really a repetitive process. It's not really that bad. So you have to kind of look at it that way. A lot of times what happens is the single orders are usually priced higher than a bulk order. For the simple reason is because you got to set up that machine for that one particular order. And then depending on how long that stitch out is going to take as well. When you have a bulk order and you set up the machine, you are processing multiple items in that same setup. It becomes a repetitive process, and sometimes it's a lot easier to do, which is why when you look at embroidery businesses that have the multi-heads, usually what they do is they say there's a minimum order that they will process. They won't take an order of a one or a two. They're like, nope, it has to be 50 items or less. 50 items or more, or 100 items or more, because the thing is, it's not worth it for them to turn on and set up the machine just for that one item. That's where usually the small embroidery businesses, just like myself, can be very beneficial to the folks out there, because some of these businesses kind of close their doors to items that are below their minimum. They could come to me and I'm good with that. Okay. But the thing is, just know that, if you get a bulk order, sometimes you can offer a bulk order discount. For example, if I get a bulk order, usually I really don't charge for the digitizing. I will just pay for it up front. Digitizing can at times be inexpensive, and I don't charge for the stitch out either. Okay. What I do is I'll just have the price, but the thing is, I already know that I'm going to be, processing 10 or more items. I'm okay with that. Okay. Usually, if it's not more than 10 items, I don't provide a discount. I charge for the digitizing and everything else. But it all depends on you and how you want to create your pricing. The fifth thing that I wanted to mention to you guys about is the turnaround time and any special requests. Okay. Sometimes what happens is you will have people that will come to you, especially during the holidays, where they come with these last minute gifts and they're saying, hey, I just went to the store, I bought this blanket, or I got this stocking, and I want to know if you can embroider it for me tonight. Okay. Those situations can be pretty sticky. All right. I think, those of you that have watched me for quite some time know that I had expressed kind of concern about the rush orders. Okay. The thing is that during the holiday season, it's extremely busy. All right. You already have a lot of customers that approached you in advance, ask for things to be embroidered. You have them on the schedule and you're doing your thing. Then here comes a customer that has that one stocking or that blanket, and they come to you and they say, hey, can you just get this embroidered tonight? Now, totally got it. I'm not faulting the customer. They don't know your schedule. They just look at it as, oh, you're just a small business. They don't understand the volume that you can have. But the thing is, I like to schedule my items. There are two approaches that you can take for this. Okay. The one approach is you can come out and you can say, all right, I'm going to suck it up. I'm going to take the order. I'm going to process it, even though it's not on the schedule. And you can charge a rush order fee. Okay. That's fine. You're getting paid for your work and all that kind of stuff. But the downside of that is the kind of that I learned the hard way was that you can exhaust yourself. Okay. There was a year that I processed orders like crazy, even the rush orders. They were knocking on my door. They were asking for things to be done within 24 hours. And I will tell you guys, it is something that I will never, ever do again, because it exhausted me. Okay, I didn't have enough sleep. I'm still working full time as I'm running this embroidery business. So it was pretty bad. It was really, really bad. Okay. So I had to quickly learn about self care because I will tell you this, if you don't take care of yourself, you're no good to anybody. I was totally exhausted, didn't have enough hours of sleep because I had to get the orders done. Because even though you take those rush orders, those other orders still got to get processed, okay? Because you already had committed a completion time to your regular customers. So they're, you taking that rush order, that's not their problem. That's yours, okay? You got to own it, all right? So you don't put that problem on your customers because trust me, they will remember you if you don't deliver on time. So that was something that I told myself, even though I did make good money, okay, and the people that gave the rush orders and I told them this is my rush price, they were fine with it. They were willing to pay it, but it was exhausting. And it was not something that I would recommend because I did an injustice to myself. So, but that's just me, how I feel. It really depends on your situation, you know. I backed out from that. Okay. I do not do a rush order. I schedule. Okay. And if I do a rush order, it's because I do have the time available. Maybe someone canceled out and I have a time frame that's available. Or the item that they're coming to me with is something that is so small, it's really not going to take too much time for me to embroider. We're not talking about me wasting 2 or 3 hours in embroidering their products. It's something that is really simple to hoop, and I can, it's like a name or an initial or something like that. But don't get me wrong though, okay? When I say something simple, that means that I've already worked with this customer before. I know the font that they like, and they already told me the thread. Sometimes those little rush orders that come to you, they can be daunting. What ends up happening is they don't know what color they want for their thread. They don't know what type of font that they want. So what ends up happening is you spend like a good 2 hours trying to figure out what it is that they want. And at the same time, those 2 hours are taken away from the orders that you are now processing. Okay. So it can be, I'm telling you, that's why I won't do it again, because it at the end of the day it becomes like so super exhausting, it's not even worth it. Okay, it just, so I just tell people it depends on what it is you want. Sometimes also you get certain special requests where people will come to you with some crazy stuff. Okay, I had a lady that came to me with a Louis Vuitton bag and asked me to embroider it. I was like, no, not that. I'm not touching that. Screw up a $2,000 pocketbook. I am not going to do that. No. Sometimes, and then there are certain things that, you people ask you to embroider, and it's okay. You've worked with the material before, or sometimes there is a new material that they come to you with, and you're kind of like, "Ugh, I don't know." So you got to really pay attention to these things, okay? So, I'm gonna run these five again. Excuse me. The type of embroidery, the design complexity and the size, all right, the material and the apparel type, the order value, okay, and if you're going to allow bulk discounts, okay, and be careful with discounts. I'm going to tell you something right now. Be very, very careful with discounts, all right? You want to make sure that when you provide a discount, at the end of the day, okay, and I'm serious about this, you're still profiting. I have seen people give discounts, and it's like, I'm like, what did you do? You just embroider for free. You don't do that. Okay, so make sure that when you're providing a discount, when at the bottom line, you are still making some money. That's important, because think about it. If you're not making money, when you have an order, and at the end of that order, you didn't see a profit, then you're not in business. You are not running a business. What you're doing is you are volunteering your time, okay, and embroidering for free. Call it what it is. Don't get mad at me. I'm just telling you the truth, okay? Now, there were certain things, also little steps that I also wrote down that I wanted to talk to you guys about when you are determining your prices, okay? The first thing is determining determining the design complexity. I already told you about the stitch count. I already told you about the colors and the threads, and also the design size. I really want to emphasize size because people really sometimes don't pay attention to that. They just look at the design, and a lot of times people will just calculate the price out of a logo of a size 3x3. But then what ends up happening is when you meet with the customer, they show up with a jacket and it's in the back of a hoodie or something like that. And that's not a 3x3. That's usually like a 8x8 or something huge, right? And they think that you're going to embroider that big thing for a small amount. Okay. So I'm telling you, make sure before you give prices to anyone. All right. And that is one of the things that I tell people also. Never, ever, ever give prices on the fly. I don't care if you think it's something simple. I don't care. You always tell them that you need to get all the information first before you provide an estimate. And also, don't provide it the same day. Make them wait the 24 hours so you can actually sit on it, think about all the stuff you got to do, everything that's involved before you give an estimate. If you give a price right away, what ends up happening is the customer is going to lock in that price in their mind. And then what happens is when you go ahead and you start to do the order, you're going to end up finding out I had to use 2 sheets of stabilizer, not one. I had to slow down the machine. So something that I thought was going to stitch for 5 minutes is now taking me 10, or a half hour is now taking me an hour. Okay. Or, I thought it was just going to be 4 colors. And now that I'm working it, I find out that it's not 4 colors, it's 8 or 9 colors. Okay. You don't want any surprises sneaking up on you because those surprises are going to cost you money. Okay, they don't cost the customer money, it costs you money because you're the one that's paying for these machines. You're the one that's using your electricity. You're the one that paid for the thread. You're the one that paid for that stabilizer. You're the one that had to work with the digitizer to make sure that design is right. And you, not them, you are the one that's standing in front of that machine watching all your items in border. Okay, it's your time. All the customer is doing is telling you the design, dropping off their stuff, and they're going off their merry way. They're not paying attention to how many hours you are standing in front of the machine processing their items. That is your responsibility, and you got to make sure that you have all of that jotted down before you start spitting out your estimates to the customers. I'm telling you, I see it all the time. People come out and they say, oh, okay, that's only $15. Next thing you know, they say, oh, okay, $15. That's great. They bring you the item. You end up looking at it. It's a complex jacket. Let's say they give you a Carhartt jacket, okay, one of those construction jackets. Those are not easy to embroider, okay? They're not simple. Are they embroiderable? Yes, I've done hundreds of them. Okay, I've worked with a construction company. They bought me like over 150 jackets. I know how to embroider that, but it's a very thick material, and you cannot go fast. And you sometimes have to adjust the needles on your machine because of the thickness. You got to make sure also that you clamped your mighty hoops, because the thing is, because that jacket is so thick, even though the mighty hoops are like super strong, sometimes they don't clamp down all the way. You can't afford to have those jackets shifting on you in the middle of embroidery. So that can be a very complex, hard type of apparel to work with. The same thing with hats. Some hats are easy to embroider. Some hats can be a little complicated, okay? I hear people talk about the I think it's called Richardson hats. I haven't embroidered on those, but I've heard about those hats, and I have seen people take those hats and throw them in the garbage because they don't know how to hoop them correctly, or something, they're not using the right needle, or maybe their machine just doesn't like the hat and doesn't embroider well on the hat. And it also depends on the design that they used on the hat as well. So those things have to be taken into consideration when you are pricing your items. If you go ahead and you just spit out a price, okay, and then later on the customer comes with the products and you're like, shoot, this thing is taking me longer. I'm making mistakes. I'm all stressed, this and that, whatever. And you know that you should have charged. That's not the customer's fault. That's yours because you rushed it. Okay. You didn't take the time to get all the details and test stitch that design and everything like that before giving them a price on, on what it would cost. And also, let me tell you something about discounts. I rarely do them. I rarely do them. I am a strong advocate and believer that you should get paid for what you are worth. Strong believer of that. I have no problem with losing an order. That is perfectly fine with me. If you feel that somebody else out there can do this cheaper, go right ahead. But I will not allow or just work on an order when I know at the end I am not getting paid what I should be getting paid. I just won't do it. I refuse it. And I don't negotiate my prices. I make sure they are fair from the very beginning. I have the conversations with the customers and I let them know the process and I explain everything. And I tell them this is why this costs this much. If they feel that they have to negotiate with me, they met the wrong embroiderer because it ain't gonna happen. I don't do it. I watched a video. One of my favorite YouTubers is at War Print now, okay, and it's Liliana, and she recently posted a video, and she also talked about in her video she was talking about the raising costs of embroidery that are happening now, and threads are getting more expensive, stabilizers and all that stuff. And guys, Joann's is closing. So if you need stabilizer, threads, and all that stuff, this is the time to go. I'm just letting you know because I went. I went today and I did spend quite a bit of money, but that's okay. But I bought stuff that I knew that, I'm getting them cheap right now. So it's good to go. But anyway, just wanted to throw that in there, just in case you guys don't know. But anyway, but you know, she says she met with a customer and and she told the customer how much something was gonna cost, and the customer wanted to pay a lower price. And she said, no, absolutely not. Can't do it for that. The reason why she said no is rightfully so because she said, I'm not in the business to lose money. That's my time is worth something. Okay. And that is something that a lot of people do not calculate when they are embroidering. They do not consider their time. Your time is precious. You only have one life. The time does not reverse and you don't get to go back. So make sure you're getting paid for your time. All right. Now, that goes down to the second step that I think about when I'm pricing stuff. I'm calculating the labor and the time. I think about my setup. Okay, how complex is this design? Is it going to be so complex that it's going to have more than 10 colors? Because if it does, that means that when the 10 colors are done, I have to reset my machine to new threads. Okay. I also put in an hourly rate. I know what I'm worth, and I do have an hourly rate. So what I do is I take my hourly rate and I actually calculate how much my time costs per every 15 minutes. Okay, that's how I usually do it. And then I look at how long something's going to take to embroider, and I use that hourly rate per item. Okay. So a lot of times, think about that. People don't put in an hourly rate. You should put in an hourly rate. That is important because that's your time. Okay. Believe me, you are embroidering for them. You should be getting paid for it. If not, you should be embroidering for yourself. You should be spending time with your friends and your family. You should not be spending your time doing things for free. Okay, so I just wanted to emphasize that. Okay, all right. The other thing that I also consider is my overhead and also my profit margin. Okay, um, now what do I mean by profit margin? What I mean is when you are working on a job, you should know how much of a profit you want to make per item on that particular order that you're working on. Okay, you got to have a profit margin. Okay, you can look at that, look at an item and say, you know what, I want to make $5 a shirt. Okay, that's your profit margin and stuff like that. So that way you know if you're going, if everything that you're calculating is going to help you beat that mark. Okay. You want to make sure that you consider your overhead costs. Okay. If you are running a brick and mortar, you're paying rent. All right. Unless you own it, then you're paying a mortgage. Okay. You know, if you own it outright and you're not paying a mortgage and you're not paying rent, well, you are paying something. You're paying utilities, you're paying taxes. You know, your machines have to get maintained. All right. You got to think about all of the material that's being used, the stabilizer, the needles, the threads, and all that stuff. You know, you want to make sure you add all of that stuff together so that you can come out and make sure that you're considering all of that when you are um, giving out your estimate and your price. Okay, so you know those are costs. Those are costs that you have to figure. You know, you got to figure it out. Now, this is the thing. Sometimes people will approach me and they'll say, "Hey, Jeanette, how much would you charge for this?" And you know, I kind of cringe when people ask me that question, and I'm gonna tell you why. It's not that I don't want to help, but my thing is everybody's costs are different. What I pay for electricity is not the same that you pay. What I pay for maintenance is not the same thing that you pay for needles, for threads, for stabilizers, and stuff like that. You know what you pay, okay? And not only that, my hourly rate is probably different than your hourly rate. It could be higher or lower. And think about the environment where you are, okay? If you're in an environment where the cost of living is low, you're going to have to price it so that the people around you can afford it, okay? And if you're in an area where the cost of living is high, you may be able to price it a little higher, okay? Because the people are probably making a lot more money and they probably have it. Now, with that being said, let's go down a reality of where we are today in society, okay? People are crying, all right? I mean, there are, you know, it's we're not in a good situation, guys. We truly, truly are not, okay? Unless you're living in a bubble or you've been under a rock or I don't know where you've been, you turn on the news and unfortunately, it's not good out there, okay? People are very, very tight with their money right now. And there's a reason for it, okay? There's a lot of things that are going on. You know, we got a lot of people that are getting laid off. Unfortunately, a lot of people are losing their jobs, and that's not easy for anyone. So my heart goes out to all those folks because I can only imagine the amount of stress it's and you know that they're going through. That's just terrible, you know, and it's not easy, especially if you are the breadwinner in your family and all that stuff. I can only, you know, it thankfully that's not something that has happened to me. But I can only imagine how hard and difficult that would be. You know, and it's happening everywhere. It's happening in the federal government. It's happening in the private sector. We also on the news you hear about things going up, and now there's going to be a lot of negotiations with countries in the U.S. with the tariffs and all that stuff. You hear all these different things. Things are going to go up. Things are really going to go up, and because we know that the prices are going to go up, which is one of the reasons why I ran to Joanne's today, because I said I need to stock up now so that I can run this business with what I have in hand, you know? And that's one of the things that I truly think a lot of people need to do. It's a lot going on out there. And it's this little scary time, especially, you know, um, embroidery is not cheap. I'm gonna tell you something. This is not cheap. Sometimes I have to admit, I do sometimes sit in here and I look at all these machines and I look at all this thread and all this stabilizer. And thankfully I do pretty good, right? I do a lot of good local sales and stuff like that. And I still am making online sales and everything. But sometimes I will say, I do sit there and I go, Jesus, Jeanette, what did you get into? What did you get into? Okay. Because I look at each of these machines and I'm thinking, these machines were like buying a car. Okay. So I look at the three machines that I have right here in this room, my multi needle machines, and I'm like, I could have got three cars for what I paid for these machines. Okay. And then I got my heat press and all that stuff. This is not cheap stuff. I mean, you just the threads, or all the threads, the different color threads, the stabilize everything. It's not cheap. Okay. Very, very expensive to get into. All the mighty hoops. I mean, I look at the mighty hoops and I don't even want to count because I don't want to think about how much I spent. Even though I have to, because I gotta write them in my taxes and all that stuff. But I'm gonna tell you something. When you are starting out in embroidery, it is expensive. A lot of times, and it's an expense that creeps up on you, and you don't even realize it from the very beginning. I just started with an SC 1900. It was a sewing machine slash embroidery machine. I started playing around with it. I fell in love with it. I said, I love this. I really like this. And then I started expanding. Then I ended up with multi-unit machines. Then I ended up people were asking me to make stuff for them. And then not even wanting to do this as a business, boom, I'm here. And I look around and I'm like, damn, this is big. Okay. However, though, it's freaking expensive. It really, truly, truly is. So knowing that, okay, knowing that you have spent the investment that you made, okay, and if you're watching me and you're sitting in your room, I want you to take a moment and look around at what you got around you. Take a look at your machine, and in your head think about what you spent. Take a look at all your thread. Okay, when I look at my thread, I know one of these is like $9. And I don't just have one. I have, oh Jesus, I think I have hundreds of them. Okay. So I mean, and then I look at and then I didn't even touch blanks, guys. We're not even talking blanks. Blanks are expensive. Okay. So when you think about all of that, the expense that you have invested, now let's go to the topic that we're talking about. The things that affect the embroidery cost and the prices. So look around you. Take a moment. Look at your machines. Look at your threads. Look at all the stuff that you bought. There is your cost. All of that came out of your pocket. Now, what you have to think about is, as I am embroidering and I'm selling stuff and everything and I'm pricing, I have to make sure that I'm profiting, that I am not doing things for free. Can't do it. You just can't. If not, then call it what it is. Say it's a hobby, it's just something that you want to just do on your spare time, and you're okay with spending your money on it and just giving it away. Okay. Some people too, one of these, which there's nothing wrong with this, okay? Because like I said, this is your thing. So you're doing it your way, right? Other people, what they do is they just love doing it. They just love doing it. So they price their items just so that they can kind of like feed the habit. You know what I mean? I just, some people say, oh, I just price it where I kind of cover the cost of what I spend in this hobby. If I make enough just to pay for all my materials and I make enough just to pay for all my stuff, then I'm happy. I'm okay with it. And there's nothing wrong with that. Okay. But all I'm saying is if you are running an embroidery business is for profit. It's so that you can make money. And if you're planning on making money, you got to make sure that you're taking a good inventory of what your costs are. And then you are setting up the price at a certain point where you are profiting. Okay. You're not just covering your costs, you're also profiting as well. All right. All right. So, the other thing, let me see what else. Okay, there's another thing too. So I kind of like emphasized already about understanding the cost of embroidery. Um, Also, some of the things that I was thinking about was choosing your designs. Okay, the best way to save money is to try to get simple designs, especially if you're buying designs so that you can sell or something like that. Try to keep your design simple. The more simple your design is, the faster you can embroider and produce them. The more complex, the more time that item is going to be underneath the needle. So just want to mention that the bulk orders are really the way to go, guys. I'm telling you. That is why you see a lot of large embroidery businesses. They come on, they say the minimum is 50. However, though, taking those embroideries, those jobs that are just one or two items, that's a need. That is a need that's out there. And if you're okay filling that need, that's fine. Just make sure that you're pricing that accordingly. Okay. The other thing also that I do want to emphasize, which I didn't mention before, but I'm going to mention it now, is you got to make sure that you have a list of vendors that are, and I'm going to say it, reliable. Okay. There are lots of vendors out there that you can work with. But if they're not reliable and they're not good at what they do, it can hold you back. It can mess you up. Okay. Give you a perfect example of that. Digitizers. There are so many digitizers out there, but you got to be careful, okay, on what digitizer you work with. You have some digitizers that use software. They're not really professional digitizers. What they do is like they just take a design. I don't know what the hell they do, but it's like you could tell that when you get it back from them, it's not exactly good quality work. You also have digitizers out there that when you give them a design, they will digitize it, shoot it to you, and then if you need some type of modification, they're gone. They're disappeared. They don't want to hear from you anymore. Okay. You need to make sure that you are working with a digitizer that you can have a good, solid relationship with. If I can't, if I cannot work with you to make sure that the design that I get is good, solid, good quality, and if I have to make a small modification because it just, is off or whatever, and that digitizer is gone, believe me, that is not somebody I'm going to work with. Be very careful also with the pricing of digitizers. You have certain digitizers that charge way too much, and then you have some that charge way too low. As you start getting into this business, you'll have an idea of what is the price range that you should be paying for certain things. Okay. Be careful when you go for the cheap stuff. Okay. Because my mom always said, you get what you pay for. All right. So if you go out there and you buy a $2 chair to sit on, and you're happy because you've only paid $2 for this chair, and then you sit on it and it breaks and you fall to the ground. There goes your $2. Okay. And then sometimes you can end up buying a chair that's like really fancy or whatever. And it costs you like 300-400 bucks, and you got that chair for life. As a matter of fact, it may even outlive you. And then next thing you know, your family inherited that chair. So be careful what you pay for. Okay. You got to make sure that when you're talking to these digitizers, that you can rely on them. Also, let's talk about another vendors, okay? Another type of vendors. Your blanks. Know who you're buying your blanks from. There are lots of people that can sell you blanks, but I've had some where I'm like, what the heck? Are you for real? It's like I get the blanks and I'm like, this is really low quality, okay? But you have to shop around. Buy the samples before you buy the bulk order from them, okay? So that you can actually see. I'd rather waste $20 on a onesie that is of low quality, that and know not to buy from that vendor, than to have gone to that vendor, spent $600, and then get like 200 or 400 onesies, and they're all nothing but bad quality. Okay. Sometimes you have to do your homework, and don't be afraid to go out there and buy the samples from certain vendors. There are a lot of people out there that sell blanks. You want to make sure that you're getting the blank that meets your standards of quality, that that you can embroider on, and your stuff is going to look great. Okay. And the other thing too is sometimes you don't have to go to wholesale vendors. If you can go to Walmart or Target, and there's a particular brand of an item that works, use that. Use it. Especially if you're only selling one or twos, you're not like selling them like 50 at a time or whatever. Use it. There's lots of places you can go to get blanks. Lots of places. Okay. And another idea also, okay, let's say that you're starting out in embroidery, but yet you really want to, you don't have too much experience in embroidering on particular types of fabrics and stuff like that. Okay. Go to a thrift shop. Go to a thrift shop, or you can't go to Joann's anymore, but I guess you could go to Michael's. Now Michael's is carrying fabric, or you can go to Hobby Lobby or another place. Buy the fabric of that particular material that you want to learn how to embroider. Practice. Okay. Then you go ahead and you practice. Practice different designs on that type of fabric. Do light designs, do dent designs, do small designs, do large designs, do designs with different colors and stuff like that, just so you can get comfortable. So let's say you want to embroider on leather, let's say you want to embroider on vinyl, but you're like scared or whatever, then what you do is just go ahead and buy a whole yard of it, cut it up, okay, and then just go ahead and practice, 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 practice. Nothing wrong with that. As a matter of fact, that is actually an excellent thing to do, because then what happens is when a customer comes to you with maybe a leather tote bag or something like that, you have practiced embroidering on leather so many times that it should be a shoo-in for you. And at the same time too, as you are practicing on the leather or whatever it is, the material, and it comes out really good, keep those samples. Keep them so that when customers come to visit you, you can pull it out and say, hey, here's a sample of my work on that type of material. This is how it usually comes out. And customers like that. Customers like that. Okay. And you're going to, and this is the other thing too. I don't know if you guys saw the last video that I did where I embroidered a golf bag. Okay. I will tell you this. The customer was nervous. They were pretty nervous bringing me that golf bag. They were like, it's a one-shot deal. What if you mess up the golf bag? And I told the guy, I will replace that golf bag if I mess it up. promise you I will do that. I will pay for it. Stuff. And I will tell you, I mean, it can be a nerve-wracking thing, not just for you as the embroiderer, but also for the customer too. They are bringing you their items, their trusted items, okay? So you have to be comfortable with embroidering different types of material. Now, I am going to tell you this. If you are not experienced in embroidering on certain types of materials, do not take the order. I am serious about this because the last thing you want to do is take that person's bag or jacket or whatever and ruin it. Okay? That can it's not good. That you don't want that to be your first time. Honestly, you don't. Okay? You want to be able to, do a good job and stuff. So practice, 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 practice. A lot of times people don't like to practice. They think that, oh, I don't have to practice. The machine does all the work. Okay. I mean, I say, all right, you can press a button, yes. But the thing is, what are you practicing? Well, I'm going to tell you what you're practicing. You're learning about different types of materials. You're learning about the different speeds that should be used during embroidery. You're also learning about the different size needles, the different weight of threads that you should be using, and the different functionality that your machine has. Not all embroidery machines are the same. They all do embroider, but they all have different types of functionality, okay? Which is another reason why a lot of times when people come to me and they say, well, what machine should I get? I don't like giving you advice. There's so many machines out there. You have to do your homework and you have to see what machine is going to fit your needs. What is the machine that is going to work for you? Which one is it going to be easy for you to learn? Something that's going to fit your budget, something that is going to do all of the things that you need it to do. There's just so many things, okay? I see people all the time. They buy a machine because someone else had the machine. That's the only reason why they bought it. Well, this person has that machine, so because they're using that machine, I want to get that same machine. Meanwhile, they never looked at anything else, and they're really not familiar with the capabilities. They're not familiar with how they're going to maintain it, or the space that's required, the electricity it pulls. There's just so many things that you have to consider, but people don't take the time. They don't take the time because they don't want to do the homework. And then what ends up happening is then you see the machine on Facebook Marketplace because they didn't understand the machine. It didn't work for them. They don't like it. Hey, what are you going to do? You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. So, anyway, guys. So, that is the topic for this Friday. And I hope you guys found that useful. And if you did, please give me a thumbs up. And if you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing. I am trying really hard to hit 20,000 subscribers. I think I'm almost there. I think I need 200 more. I'm not sure. But anyway, I'll eventually get there. I love what I do. I love the channel. I love sharing this information with you guys because I find, I like to help other people. I feel the embroidery world is big enough for everyone. There's just so many, a need for it. But one of the things that I do notice is, it's very costly. It's an area that is very, very costly for the embroiderer, and it's also costly for the customer too. Because like I said, I keep telling you guys, you got to make sure you price your items right. But, that's why some customers, like, they'll prefer to do direct to fabric, or they prefer to do print screening, or they'll do sublimation and everything like that. Because embroidery is usually much more expensive than those other areas. But the problem is the quality. Embroidery is very long lasting. Okay. Usually the embroidery, it lasts as long as the garment. Okay. It really does. The same longevity. I'm not saying that the other I'm not saying that the others are not good. I'm not saying that at all, because it all depends on what it is that you need the item for. But I have seen certain things like, you know, the longevity of it. Sometimes people go to wash items and then like the color's faded. It's not as bright as when they first received the item. There's a lot of things, right? So, there's a lot, but like I said, it depends on the customer. It depends on how they're going to use the item. Sometimes people are buying things just for a one-time wear or just to wear for a particular event. But there are other people that when they want something on a particular item, they want it for the life of that item. And usually embroidery is really the way to go. But sometimes also depending on the design, okay, if the design is extremely complex, where there is just so many details in that design, sometimes embroidery is not the way to go. Maybe in those situations, you should consider sublimation, or maybe you or print screen or direct to fabric. Maybe those other alternatives work best. Okay, but embroidery is very long lasting. It's usually more expensive than the other items because of all of the labor that's involved. Okay, usually with those other types of things, people usually just have to work with their machines, have the right printer, the right ink and everything, and then they go and they print it out on the special paper, and then they go and they just steam press it on the garment, and they're good to go. With embroidery, it's a lot different. There's a lot of more things that are involved, which is why the price of embroidery is a little bit higher. It's not as cheap as the other stuff. The other stuff isn't that cheap either. So, but everything's going up in prices. So, one of the things that I recommend also is that, you know what you have spent on the items that you have now. I don't know how high these prices are going to go. Okay, honestly. I don't know if threads are really going to start skyrocketing. I know what I'm paying for them now, and I'm even keeping a chart so that I could see. Fabric is going to probably go up. It's going to be more difficult to get because unfortunately, Joann's is going to be gone. It's not going to be a Joann's anymore, which it sucks because I really really loved the they offer discounts and the coupons and all that stuff, and I just thought that was like so super awesome. But Hobby Lobby doesn't offer discounts. They do have the sales, but they don't do they don't do military discount or teachers discount. Joann's did. Michael's does though. Michael does, and I know Michael is now starting to put fabric in their stores, which that I'm happy with. So I think I'm gonna try to go to Michael's now to get my fabric. If and hopefully they grow their selection and stuff. And I'll go to Hobby Lobby, but Hobby Lobby is not really my favorite place because they don't offer the military discount or anything like that, and they don't do the coupons and all that kind of stuff. So, oh, excuse me. All right, so let me get a little bit more. Mm. All right, guys. So I am going to go down the chat now and say hi to everybody, answer any questions that you guys may have, and share comments along the way. Sorry, I'm starting to cough. And then after that, I'm going to have to call it the night because I know my throat is starting to tickle a little bit. And I don't want to have a repeat of last week. But at least this week, I was able to talk to you guys without coughing all over the place. But like I said, I should be 100% next week. Okay, hoping. All right. So, but I think I did better this Friday. I really do because I do feel a lot better. All right, guys. So I am going down the chat. Hey, Peggy, how you doing? Hey, Robin, happy Friday. I see Deborah, Marlene. Um, oh no, Robin had an accident. Hope you get better, Robin. Um, let's see. Hey Bob, how you doing? How are you? Hey Jenny. I see Kim. How are you, Kim Cass? How you doing? Hey Linda, how are you? Um, let's see. Hey Bubba, how are you? Let's see. What did she say? I like baking. $60 per hour. There you go. Stick to a 5-10 minute stitch time. 2 hoops, 1 machine. There you go. Also, small writing takes longer because you have to use different needles and thread and slow down the machine. There you go. You have to consider all of these things that these folks are mentioning right now when you are pricing your stuff. And you are correct. I mean, small fonts, a lot of times people are like, oh, well, it's just a small font, right? So because it's small, they think that it's an easy thing to do. In fact, it's not, because it's just like Marlene said. It does take longer. You got to slow down the machine, and you got to make sure you're using 60 weight thread, and you got to make sure you're using a 65/9 needle as well. So yeah, it does take longer because you got to slow down the machine. You really want to watch it, because the whole thing is you want to make sure that it is clear to to read. So it takes a little bit. Hey baby giant, how are you? um Hey Kathy, how are you? Hi Arlene. Um, hey Judy. SK, how are you? Hey Pearl, how you doing? Hey Miss Parker, how are you? How you doing? Um, let's see. Hey Pete, how you doing? Speakers, let me see. Speaking of bags, who can sell me handbag in bulk? One of the things that I do is I do buy from overseas, Pete. I usually go to Alibaba. There's a lot of vendors out there with a lot of different bags and stuff like that. And you can buy them. So I don't know what kind of bags you're looking for. If you're looking for shopping bags and stuff like that, Alibaba is a good price. It also, Amazon sometimes have some bulk items in there as well. So you may want to take a look at them, but do the price comparison between Amazon and Alibaba. The only problem with Alibaba is because you're buying overseas, sometimes it takes a long time for you to get the items. But if you inventory your stuff correctly, you will make sure that you have a regular shipment coming in at the right time. So that way you never run out of your product. So yeah. So I hope the what I tell you helps. Um, let's see. That's. Hey Jenny, how are you? Hey Angela Stitches, how you doing? I see McFaith. Um, what's so special about these hats? I don't know, Iris. I do know that a lot of customers like the Richardson hats. I don't do them because I have seen a lot of people say, they have difficulty doing embroidering those hats. I usually like Adams hats and stuff like that. So I always like to get my hats from the wholesaler that's close to my house. So I usually always have those, those things. Oh, Angela Stitches. Yes, I did. I bought that new iron. You see it right here. It is right by me on the table. Have not opened it. Oops. Have not opened it or taken it out of the box yet. I actually picked it up from Joann's, and I actually looked on Amazon, and it was about like $10 cheaper. So I figured, okay, let me just bite the bullet and get it, and that way I have it. My sister has one. I've always been like super jelly of her because she had it. I really like the way that it just lifts itself up. Even though I like my cordless too, because I have 2 rooms now, I have the embroidery and the sewing room. I figure what I will do is I will have one iron here and then one iron in the other room. So yeah, so I decided to go with the 2. Okay. Um, let's see. Hubby had trouble with those Richardson hats. He bought a BI-15 needle and wouldn't do those hats. He got 12 needle tissue for 500, fixed the machine issues, and had the issues it had and the Taishina. Yeah, I heard a lot of people do sometimes have that issues and stuff. But yeah. And she said the Taina embroidered those hats beautifully through trial and error. He finally got the BM machine to embroider those hats, but it was by his own trial and error. Yeah, and that's the thing also. A lot of times you're gonna have to practice and practice and practice. I screwed up a lot of hats myself, and sometimes it's really not the machine, it's just the way you hoop it, because hooping hats can be very, very different. Okay, you really got to pay attention to how you hoop these hats, how you put in the driver into the machine, and how you actually hook the hat hoop to the actual machine, how you center it. You got to make sure that the design that you are using is actually designed for a hat. There's just so many things, so it can be kind of touchy. So that's why I always say, you got to practice. You can't just say, hey, I bought a machine and I'm good to go. It's not like that. There's a learning curve to it, and you have to practice, and you got to be willing to put the time in to learn what, how to embroider certain things. Okay. And I will tell you right up front, hats is usually not my favorite thing. I prefer to do other stuff, but I do hats, but I prefer mostly to just do other stuff and everything. Let's see. Um, I heard their deals. They aren't. Yeah, I will tell you, Robin, their deals. When I went to Joann's today, most of it was, some was 40% off, some were 25% off. They had some items that were 10% off. Okay. The reason why I decided to go now is that because the closer they get to the end date of their closing, even though you're going to see it's probably going to be 70-80% off, but the thing is, what's going to be left is the scraps. All right. And I really wanted to get some really nice fabrics. So I figured, okay, 25% off on the fabric. I can live with that. I think that was a good price. And they had a better selection. I know that if I go like next month, the selection is going to be very, very small. Okay. Even though they knock off a lot of the price, but the thing is, it's going to be at the point where it's kind of like, I don't really like the fabric. It's going to be the fabric that nobody wanted, honestly. The whatever is left. So I decided I'm just going to go now and take advantage of whatever 25% off, and at least I have a better selection. So I did buy a couple more fabrics, even though I know I had no business buying fabric because I already got fabric. But I figured, let me just go and see what they have. So I will tell you, I spent like $600 today, and $179 was just for this alone. Okay, but I ended up buying fabric. I bought fabric glue. I bought E6000 glue. I bought more freight check. I bought a bunch of embroidery thread because I love the silky thread. I love these threads. So I went in there, I actually kind of cleaned them out, okay, because they had some really pretty colors of thread. So I figured, and the threads were like 40% off for the threads. So I was like, okay, so I went and I picked up a lot of yellow. I bought all their blues, all their browns. I bought those because I thought it was a pretty good price. They had an orange in there too, so I picked that up as well because I thought that was a pretty good price as well. So what I do was I looked at the colors of embroidery thread that they had, and then when I saw that those were colors that I usually use for certain designs, I just went and I bought them out, and I said, okay, let me just get all of them, and then we're good to go. So if I waited till they're at 80-90%, they're probably not going to have anything. When I went over there, they didn't even have scissors because I was like, let me get some new scissors, right? Maybe I'll get some ginger scissors and some other stuff, curved scissors and everything. Scissors are gone. They didn't have anything there. I was like looking at their quilting rulers. They didn't have much there either. So I was kind of like, all right, it's fine. So I was like, that's okay. But I would what oh, and I did buy a lot of stabilizer. Okay, a lot of their tearaway stabilizers, the one with the prefers the easy 360. And I looked all on their stabilizer, and then all that type of stabilizer that they had, I took it off because I was like, I love that stabilizer. I like using that stabilizer. So I bought all of that. um I think they only had like 10 yards. Yep. 10 or 13 yards, something like that left. So I just bought those. Yeah. So they, yeah. So, right now the deals, Robin, they have them, but they're not like, oh my God, it's so cheap. But I figured, let me go now because I know they still have a lot more stuff, and then I could have a better selection to pick. I'm not getting like rock bottom prices, but it's something, you know. Hey Carol, how you doing? I now have to find places to put two whole books of interfaces I just got from Joann's. I should be set for a couple of years. Yes, and I had bought from Joann's a whole big bulk of batting, and I'm gonna tell you something. I bought that batting 2 years ago, and I still have plenty of batting. So yeah, if so, that is something too. If you're looking for a lot of batting and stuff like that, I would say go now and buy those big rolls. That way you're set for a very long time because all that is on sale. All that is on sale. I was looking at their vinyls and all that kind of stuff, but then I was kind of like, I could get that stuff from Walmart and all that stuff. That's the other thing too, because I was talking to Nancy about it, and she was like, there are some things that they sell that you can easily get it from Walmart. You can get it from Amazon. It's not stuff that you can just like, you're never going to be able to get your hands on it again, which is why I kind of focused more on their fabric. And I did kind of focus on the thread because I thought the threads were a really good price. Their fabric seemed to be a really good price too. But yeah, I was just like looking around to see, what can I get at a cheaper price. So that way I have it and then I'll be fine. Hey, Big Faye, it would be awesome if you walked through and showed people what type of items to buy. It would be especially for those are beginners and don't want to buy at the retail store. It I could do that, Faith, but the problem is not all Joann's are gonna have everything because they're closing, right? So I do have um in the video description, I do have like uh 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 in my Amazon store, I do have for beginners, people that are embroidering, things you should buy to start with. I do have those areas that you can get from Amazon. But the thing is Joann's and all the Joann's are closing. So what what's in one Joann, they might be sold out in the other and stuff like that. But I should have I think, you know, I should have to pulled out the videotape and showed you guys at least what I was looking at and stuff like that. But it's all different in all the stores and stuff. Um, hey crafty Puerto Rican, how you doing? How are you? Um, Question. I recently went to Joann and I felt like they didn't have any discounts since I go to the store so often. I know the regular price and I didn't see the difference in the price. Yeah, and this is the other thing, Iris. When I went over there and I asked them, I said, hey, do you still offering the discount, the military discount, and all that kind of stuff? They were like, no, we're not accepting any coupons and we're not accepting any discounts because we're just closing. So I was like, okay. And let me tell you something, they didn't even have bags. They did not even have bags. All my threads were in like these little bags, and all the fabrics and stuff, I had to carry them out. I was like, you don't have a big bag to throw all the stuff together? And they were like, nope, we have no more bags. So I was like, wow. So I'm like, okay, so you guys are closing to like the core naked. You know what I mean? Like getting rid of everything. So yeah. But I figured, I'll go and see um what's gonna happen and stuff. Hey Iris, are you worried about your job? Not really. Iris, I'm actually in a very good spot where I'm at, and the way I look at it is if I do get ripped or they let me go, I am so close to retirement that I really won't lose anything. I really won't lose anything. I'll probably just be able to retire early. That's it. But I would prefer to do my whole 30 years. But yeah, so I mean, so far I've been okay. Everybody's a little worried and stuff. But the way I see it is it's not something that I can control. Iris, it is what it is, right? So whatever's gonna come my way, I'll just have to deal with it and keep going. That's just how I see it. So I'm not really going to stress about it because you stress and you end up dying faster. That's how I kind of see it. So life is life. You're going to have your good, you're going to have your bad. And I kind of look at it like if something happens and they throw a little wrench my way, then I'm just going to make the best of the opportunity and just keep it going. That's what it is. So I mean, that's how I see it, but I know that my family is going to be okay. We're savers. So I'm not a paycheck to paycheck kind of person. I've always lived below my means. I have always been very good with my money, very careful. So I'm okay. Whatever's gonna happen, I'm gonna survive it. So I'm gonna be fine. But thank you for asking. I appreciate that. Hey Jenny, how you doing? It's funny. I was thinking the same thing when I saw 10% off. I just laughed. Yeah, the sales were not that high. I just wanted to grab the stuff before they kind of left, and um I heard they're not even honoring the gift cards, which I think that's highway. Yeah, and Angela, I kind of agree with you because they got the money. They got the money. Okay, so to me, a gift card is like cash. So I mean, I think that's hybrid too. Um, that's a slap. Yep, I agree with that. Last Friday, I went with Joanne's with my $30 gift card, and that was the last date that they would take them. So I guess that they advertised when was the last day you could use the thing. I think you have to file a claim with bankruptcy court, which can be a hassle. Let's see. Heard the 28th February was the last day to use your gift cards. Yeah. Hey Cynthia, how you doing? Oh, thank you. Thank you for the thumbs up. Appreciate it. Thank you. I think I'll be checking out thrift stores near me for materials. Thrift stores are a really good place, and especially if you want to practice on embroidering on different types of fabric, you can go there, buy old clothes, cut them up, and use the fabric and stuff. I tell people to do that all the time. Hey Emma, how are you? Hey Deborah. Susan, hey Sue, good digitizer. I have a list of digitizers in our Facebook group. If you look under the guide, you will see a bunch of digitizers that I recommend. Let's see. Hey Beth, how are you? Hey Tina, how you doing? Can you give us the name of digitizer who got your dog digitized correctly? His name is on the list. What was his name? I think his name was Hendrick, something like that. But his name is on the list on the Facebook group, Tina. Are you feeling better, Jeanette? Yes, I am. But not that well, my mom is a little bit under the weather, guys. My mom has been hospitalized. I got a call from my sister yesterday, and she has pneumonia or ammonia. Yeah, so she's going to be in the hospital for a couple of days. So just a little heads up too. I don't know how the situation is going to work out. I hope everything works out good. Me and Nancy have been in constant, talking to each other and stuff. Right now, I have no plans to go to Florida, but if my mom takes a turn for the worse, I may have to get in the car and go there and help and be with her and stuff. Hopefully she's gonna be fine. My mom is very, very strong. She is, how old is mom? Mom is 86 years old. Spunky lady, very spunky, very, athletic, exercise and all that kind of stuff. She's just having problems with her lungs right now. And but I think she's gonna pull through fine. I mean, the last time that I talked to her, she was on FaceTime and she was laughing and everything in the bed. So I'm kind of like, looked to me like she was faking it. So I was like, is she trying to get attention or something? I don't know. But anyway, but I think she's gonna be fine and stuff like that. But hopefully, things get better. If not, I will probably put an announcement out there that I have to kind of like disappear for a little bit because I'm gonna have to handle my mom. So, and this is the other thing too, because I still have like I had the flu, and even though I feel a lot better, I don't want to go over there and then get her sick, right? Because she's older and her body, probably isn't strong enough. Her immune system is not probably not strong enough to fight whatever. So I don't want to go there unless I'm 100% okay and give her something. So yeah, but yeah, Kim, don't forget to show. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Um, Hobby Lobby doesn't even give you a back. They don't. Oh my god. Who sells good quality blanks? There are a lot of places, Susan, that you can get. It depends. Also, you can get blanks from anywhere. You can get them from Walmart. You can get them from Target. But if you are buying in bulk, there are wholesalers like Alibaba. I mean, I usually get a lot of blanks from there. And I usually get a lot of blanks locally too. And there is a wholesaler. I go to Atlantic. What are they called? Here it is. It's Atlantic Coast Cotton. And that's the wholesaler that's by me, and they're because they're right down the street from me. I like to use them a lot and stuff. I sell children's clothes, so I couldn't count on Joann's keeping the same fabric in stock or online. Yeah, that's why I use spoon flour. Oh, I never knew about spoon flour. I have to look them up, Angela. But Joanne was excellent for notions and other stuff. Yeah, it's just a shame. And that's the other thing too. That's why sometimes, Angela, and I agree with you. What happens is, they sell the fabric, but sometimes when you need to replace that fabric, it's very hard to replace because sometimes they just change designs and stuff. And the next thing you know, it's like what you were selling before. Now it's like, you can't sell them anymore because you ran out of fabric and stuff like that. So yeah, that can get kind of tricky and stuff. What do you think of Joann's fabric? I wish they had a better selection. I McFay, when I went to Michael's, they only had like it was like two rows, right? Like one row. It wasn't They didn't have like a huge selection. But the fabric was not bad. But I will say this, they're just starting, right? They're just starting. And with Joann closing, I'm sure that they know that there is going to be a need out there. Okay. They're pretty big on selling the yarn and all that kind of stuff. So I can see them expanding the selection of the fabric as well. So, they just started. So I could see that getting a little bit better, you know. Do you mind where you get the Madeira thread? I get all my Madeira thread from All Stitch, Barb. Um, I like getting it from All Stitch because of the color chart that they have and all that kind of stuff. And I can buy the 60 weight thread as well. So that's usually where I go. Now my throat's starting to act up on me. Sorry about that, guys. Let's see. Hey, Roberta, how you doing? Oh, it's good to see you too. Um, Let's see. Beth says she's gonna go try to embroider some Easter shirts for her grandson. Ordered some no-show performance polymesh roll from All Stitch. That's where I get my my Madeira thread. And the will that product do well for t-shirts? It will. It will. I've used that for t-shirts. Um, it's a cutaway, non-fusible. I think it'll be fine. Um, I haven't checked out Michael's for fabric. Not a fan of the Hobby Lobby fabric. Well, I will say this: Hobby Lobby to me has a good selection. They got a lot of fabric. Okay, what I'm not a fan of is that the discounts. I mean, they say that they always have their stuff on sale, but it's like I kind of liked Joanne. That Joanne used to always have those coupons, and they always used to do the military discount. They used to do the teachers discount, the seniors discount, which I found out that I qualify for Michael's senior discount. Okay, because I turned 50. What did I turn? Oh, 57. I turned 57 this year. 57 or 56? I don't know. I think I'm 50. No, let me see. Hold on. Wait. No, I turned 50, 57. Yes, I do. I turned 57 this year. Woo! You know, when you get up there, you stop counting, right? After you hit 50, it's like you forget. Yes, this year is 57 because I will be retired at 58 and I retire next year. Hopefully, they don't kick me out. Yeah, my retirement is going to be in September of 2026. If they kick me out, then I'll be retiring earlier, you know. But I really would like, I would love to do my whole full 30. That's for sure. But we'll see what happens, right? Only, only the man upstairs knows. Hey Fran, how are you? How you doing? Oh, thank you. I'm so glad that you enjoy and you find the information valuable and stuff. I think people are going to buy a lot of Joanne items on Etsy, Facebook, and Marketplace. They may. Sending love and prayers to your mom. Oh, thank you so much, Iris. Yeah, she's hanging in there. Um, I have enough fabric in my stash to last for the rest of my life. Fran, I kind of feel the same way. And you know what's funny is I buy all this fabric with all the intentions. When I'm buying it, I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to do this with it, do that with it, do this. And it's just there because I do nothing but embroidery. That's it. So it's like, so so sad. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I mean, I think she's gonna pull through, guys. I think she's gonna be fine. It's just a little setback, and because Florida's been kind of cold. I mean, it's supposed to be the sunshine state. What the hell's going on? Where's the sun? it's like because she kept calling me. She was like, it's cold. It's cold, and I'm like, how the heck you moved over there? You moved over there for the sun. What happened to the sun? So I don't know. This year, Florida really got their temperatures dropped. So I think with the temperature dropping and everything like that, I think that's how she kind of got sick. And then her sister's visiting her, my aunt, and she's sick too. So Nancy has her handful. Let me tell you, Nancy has her handful. She got, my aunt is, I think, 89, or yeah, I think she's 89 or 90, something like that. And then my mom is 86. I think I got the ages right. I'm not sure. Every time you talk to them, though, it's kind of funny because when you ask them how old they are, they always try to lie. And they always say a small amount, like they lower the number every year. Every time I ask them, they go down a year. You know what I'm saying? And then I have to do the math. And I'm like, no, you're not. So I mean, who knows? I'll probably talk to my mom tomorrow and she'll tell me she's 30. You know how that lady is, So I guess you're never supposed to ask their age or something like that. But they're up there and stuff like that. So, but Nancy's got her handful now, boy, because she's dealing with the old ladies, So yeah. Big faces. She's trying to get this businesses from schools locally. Any suggestions? Send them a sample. Send them a sample. Reach out to the PTA. Reach out to the school's PTA and let them know about your services. Tell them that you do embroidery and that you could embroider the school logo on towels or some of their sports events and stuff like that. You know, do a sample of it. Do a sample of it. Take it to the PTO and do it. Now, the only thing that I caution McFay, because I'll tell you right now, with the school by me, they asked me to do some work for them, which I was fine with, and I said sure. But when I told them the cost, they were like, we take the lady came out, she said, we take donations. And I was like, oh no, that's not gonna work. So I don't know if she thought that I was just going to go ahead and embroider 100 towels for free. I think that's what she meant. But I was like, no, that's not going to work. So, that's the only thing. And then that was the last time that I wanted to do embroidery for the schools and everything. And not to knock the schools down, because I know that they're on a budget and, they do sometimes ask people to donate items and stuff like that. But I'm not in that position to be donating and doing that type of work for free. And, which I was kind of like really like taken back, like that she said that to me, because I was like, you so that I'm a small business. I'm a small business and I can't afford that. I said that's not gonna happen. So I mean they paid for it and stuff like that, but I was just like, I'm not doing it for free. There's no way. That's the only thing. That was my experience. You may have a whole different experience, who knows. Hey Aretha, how you doing? Oh, thanks. Hey Becky, how you doing? Yeah, I'm hoping she'll feel better. I mean, I'm positive that old lady's she's gonna pull through just fine. Jenny said I was thinking of buying a brother print mola and matching fabric that I may need by taking a photo and creating my own. Just a thought on the fabric. I have not looked into that. I am going to tell you this. I had Jenny. You're talking about getting a brother print media. I talked to Nancy the other day. And because Nancy, my sister, has the brother scan and cut. And I'm like, should I get a scan and cut? I was like, because I was watching her with it. And she was like, oh, it's great to cut for applique and all that kind of stuff. But I'm like, I got a Cricut and I got a Cricut maker, which helps to cut fabric too. So my whole thing is like, do I need the brother scan and cut? So I kind of told her, I said, well, you know what? I'm going to use my Cricut until and if I see that the Cricut doesn't cut the fabric as well or something like that, then I'll go ahead and I'll maybe I'll invest in a brother scan and cut. I'm not sure. So because this is the thing too, is that how you have these ideas and you're like, I want to do this, but the thing I don't have the time. That's the problem, because I'm working full time. I get up super early in the morning. Yesterday was a long day. Yesterday started 5:30, got out at 8 at night, and then I didn't get home till like 9:30 in the evening. So, and today I took off because I was like, I'm tired. Okay. So today was the day that I got to work on some embroidery orders, work with a digitizer to get a logo done. And also, I said, you know what? I'm going to go to Joann's and I want to see what they have. So that way I can get like the first picks of whatever it is that I kind of want. And I told myself, okay, you're going to take $1,000, but I only spent like $600, which I was like, okay, that's good. $600 is good. And, and that's the other thing too. They're not taking cash. Which I was okay with, I was like, okay, I could use my business credit card. I mean, the business card, that's fine. But I noticed that the Joann's is only taking credit card transactions unless you have, the only time they take cash is if you have the exact amount. They had a huge sign out there that said that. So I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. So, oh, Mello. Iris said hi. Mello is sleeping, as you can see. He is knocked out as always. And if you, I don't know if you notice, if you look real hard, he always sleeps in front of the embroidery machine. So it's a habit that he has. It drives me crazy because I use this embroidery machine a lot for, look at that. He knows I'm talking about him. You notice that? See how quick he looked? Yeah, I'm talking about you. Because you know, I like to use that machine. Do that. Now he's ignoring me. See that? I use that machine that he's sleeping in front of to do a lot of the baby blankets, baptism blankets, and all that kind of stuff. And then if I tell him to move, that he will go in front of this machine, which then I can't get to the other two. So it's like, you know, this is him. That's his spot. That's where he likes, right in front of the heat press, right smack in the middle of the embroidery machine. That's how Mello does. Right, Mello? Now he's ignoring me because he's like, I know you're talking about me, and I'm just gonna ignore you. Yep. Do you know why sometimes when I have to watch later, I can't see comments? Is there a way for us to see them later? Usually the comments will show, they will only show on desktops. They will not show if you watch it on like an iPad or a phone. But I do keep the replay on the lives. You do see them. Jeanette, you're not a senior yet. Well, you say I'm not a senior, but according to Michael's Iris, I am, because a senior is 55. And I found out at the movie theater a senior is 55. So when I saw that, I said, oh, so I get senior discount. So I'm like, oh, so I don't know if they're lowering the age of seniors, but I remember I thought it used to be 65 or something like that. But I'm like, hey, I'm gonna get there one day. But yeah, no, I qualify for senior discount at Michael's, Iris. I sure do. Um, oh, Marcia says she's turning 67. Oh, she turned 67 last December. Oh, got 10-year difference. 10. Yeah. That the age is only a number. My Obi says she's 14. Oh my God. Angela and Stitches turned 69. Jeanette, Louisiana got some snow. Oh, Louisiana got some snow. The weather was so out of the norm. Yeah, I mean it's like it's kind of funny because it's like she kept telling me, she goes, oh, it's cold up here and everything. I'm like, damn, they're gonna need a fireplace. Ain't that something? So much for the Sunshine State, you know? Um, let's see. Oh, Roberta says she's at Joann's now. Oh my goodness. Oh, Bob said, I bought a scan and cut, regretted it. It's not a professional machine. I think it's best used for cardstock. Oh, okay. Because my sister said she's using it to cut fabric and it seems to be working for her and stuff. So I'm like, I think I'm just going to try my Cricut and see if it works and stuff like that, because um, cutting the applique, pre-cutting the applique is a lot better, because when you do it by hand, sometimes you can accidentally cut incorrectly and you don't want, you can mess it up. So yeah. But I mean, even though I'm gonna be honest with you, when I do applique and I'm cutting by hand, I just find it so rewarding when you cut it by hand, because you get to like sit there and just cut. But if you're doing a lot, you may want to like, um do the thing. Oh, and I see right here, Nancy is on the live, and yep, okay. Just so you guys know, that's my sister, Nancy's Gift HQ. She usually does her live every Saturday at noon. But she's gonna have to cancel because mom is in the hospital. So, and she's gonna be there for a couple of days and stuff like that. So I didn't want to say anything because I wasn't sure if Nancy was gonna be able to do it or not. But yeah, so we yeah, life, right? Life. So but Nancy's got her hands full. Oh, Marcia says she usually watches on her. Yeah, try the desktop, Marcia, because that's usually where you can see the comments and stuff like that. Oh, Fran said, I'm on my third scan and cut and I love it. Yeah, Nancy seems to like it and stuff. Hi, Nancy, heard from Jeanette. Yeah. Uh, SK, that's where families first. Yeah. Yeah, mom's up there and stuff. Yeah, so there's a lot. Oh, and let me see. You can cut the fabric, but you have to prep the fabric by stiffening it with an iron on backing first. It definitely cuts fabric, but I hate to rely on it for orders. Yeah, I'm gonna. Well, you know what I'm gonna do, but I'm just gonna use my Cricut because I gotta be honest. It just kind of like I don't know. It's like you could end up with like 50 machines in your house. I'm telling you. And I don't know if I want to do that. Um, I think the next purchase that I am thinking about doing is I would like to do a laser, but I don't want to do it yet. I want to wait till I actually retire and see if that's something that I want to do because I was, but I think I would like to go that route. I don't want to just buy another cutting machine and stuff. I got the Cricut and stuff, and I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I don't know. Um, Jenny, hey Nancy, heard your mom wondering if you're going to cancel. Yes, she is. She's going to cancel it. Um, she is. Yep, we'll get through it. We will. We will. Experiment with the Cricut, and if you find some cool uses for it. Yeah, I mean, I have the Cricut Bob, and this is the other thing too. I have the Cricut. I have used the Cricut for a long time. I already know how to use the software and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, I right now it's just sitting there because I haven't really been using it much, right? So I'm thinking, let me use that for the applique. I have the blade. I have the blade and all that stuff, and I can always buy more blades. And that's the other thing too. I went to Joann's, okay, and I was like, oh, let me go to Cricut and let me see, because they sell Cricut accessories, right? So I was like, let me go over there and see if they have the blades. And I was like, do they have the cutting blade for the fabric, for the baker and all that stuff? Because that's what I have. I have the Cricut maker, and they had nothing, and they were just like 20% off of their Cricut stuff. They didn't have a good selection of the vinyl. They didn't have too much, so I was just kind of like, okay, well, so much for the Cricut. Buying Cricut accessories. I was like, I could just buy those online. It's fine. I can just do that and stuff. Well, guys, the Cricut does cut fabric. Yeah, that's why. That's why I'm like, why am I going to get on the machine? So, and I do know that, for applique, you got to put the heat and bond and all that kind of stuff. So I figure what I can do is just take the fabric, put the heat and bond on it, put the thing, and then let me see, because the heat bond stiffens the fabric, and then I'll just see if I can just cut it, see what happens. So we'll see. I mean, well, I really just want to like be able to use what I have. And I don't want to spend too much money anymore. I want to, this year I told myself, don't spend any money. But even though I went today and I went shopping and stuff. And then, and I'm going to be honest with you, I really didn't need this, but I wanted to treat myself because I really like that freaking iron that Nancy got. Nancy's is in blue. So and you know me, I love yellow because yellow's a happy color. So I was like, I'm going to get yellow. So I got mine now, and it's still in the box because I still love my cordless iron too. But I figure what I'll do is I'll just have an iron in each room and stuff like that. So I mean, but I wanted one. I was actually looking to see if they had the small one, okay? Because that's a really cute iron too, because a little mini one. Because I figured, oh, instead of getting the big one, like the smart thing, I'll just go and get the small one. But they didn't have any of that in stock. They did not sell the small one in there, or at least the ones that I went to, the joint that I went to, they didn't have the little one. So I was like, all right, let me just get the big one. It's fine. I'll just get the big one and call it the day. So guys, I am going to call it the night. It is 9:45, and I hope you guys enjoyed today's topic. And if you did, please give me a thumbs up. And if you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing. Hoping to hit 20,000 soon, but I'm sure eventually it'll happen. But I was hoping to have it by the end of last year, but hey, it's okay. So guys, take care of yourselves, and take care of each other, and enjoy your sewing, enjoying your embroidery. And I will post if something happens and I can't, and I have to go to Florida or something like that. I will make sure to post it to let you guys know. Hopefully everything will be fine, and I'll be able to see you guys next Friday. So I will talk to you guys later. You guys take care. Enjoy your embroidering and enjoy your sewing. Bye.